Y'all, what this cop went through is unbelievable, and I hope and pray she gets every single penny out of this lawsuit that she's asking for. So a 29-year-old police officer out of Ohio is suing the local sheriff's office. She's reportedly claiming that she was arrested and her child was placed in foster care after she was accused of leaving her 5-year-old child unsupervised and alone with a registered sex offender. This was despite there being any evidence whatsoever to support the claims and allegations. And that sheriff's office did some other bad things I'm going to tell you about in just a minute. Okay, so Miranda Brothers is a police officer with the Mantua Police Department, and she filed her complaint last week against the Portage County Sheriff's Office. She is seeking punitive damages in excess of $150,000. The lawsuit reportedly includes allegations of malicious prosecution, intentional infliction of emotional distress, torturous interference, and violations of her 4th, 5th, 8th, and 14th Amendment rights. So Miranda was first arrested in January of 2024, and she was charged with first-degree endangering the welfare of a child. But the case against her was dropped in July, a few months later. According to a complaint, on December 7th of 2023, at least 2 detectives were assigned to observe Miranda and her child in connection to the investigation into her parenting. These detectives reportedly posted outside a restaurant in Mantua, and both of these detectives later testified that that child never had any unsupervised contact with a registered SO, sex offender. Now, it was said prior to December 7th of 2023, a third detective also investigated the allegations against Miranda and testified under oath that they were unfounded and not accurate. So even though there was no evidence of a crime or her child being in any type of danger, they conducted a traffic stop on Miranda on January 1st of 2024, so a year ago. During that traffic stop, they removed the child from her care, placed her in foster, and took Miranda's phone and the child's tablet. Criminal charges that were filed the next day reportedly claimed that Miranda allowed a sex offender to spend extended amounts of time alone with her child. She was immediately suspended from the police department she worked at during the investigation. So essentially, she lost her job over nothing. The complaint says that the criminal complaint directly contradicts the sworn testimony of the members of the sheriff's office who personally observed the child on December 7th. Now, Miranda also claims that a forensic search of her phone and her child's tablet also showed up zero evidence of any crimes, and detectives reportedly testified to that and said the same thing at a hearing in April. But despite the testimonies of the April hearing, the state continued to try to pursue criminal charges against Miranda, even though they couldn't find anything and she literally had not committed any type of crime or child abuse or neglect. Unreal. But that's not all. Miranda also claims that a sheriff's office employee, detective, whatever, sent around explicit photos of her that she had on her phone when they were doing that phone search, and that had nothing to do with the case at all. The lawsuit reportedly said that despite knowing those pictures of her were not relevant to any criminal charge, the detective shared and disseminated these images with other members of the sheriff's office and potentially others. Absolutely unbelievable, but she's the one getting accused of crimes. Reportedly, in an interview with a local news outlet, her attorney stated that they are still trying to figure out why the sheriff's office even opened an investigation into her. Her attorney said she took her child to the babysitter that was at that restaurant that I mentioned earlier, and that babysitter was an off-duty police dispatcher who was background checked, not a registered sex offender. The attorney said that while she was there, the sheriff's office set up a few detectives to take pictures and look and determine as to whether or not she left her child with a registered SO instead of the police dispatcher. Now, regarding the explicit photos of Miranda, her attorney says that law enforcement went through her phone and they couldn't find any evidence of wrongdoing on the phone or the child's tablet. But they did find several pictures, however, that were explicit in nature that they passed among themselves that had nothing to do with this case. Reportedly, once the charges against her were dropped, Miranda returned back to being a full-time duty police officer. Y'all, I seriously hope she's getting every dime she's asking for. If anyone committed crimes throughout this case, it would be that sheriff's office, and they need to be held accountable. For more updates into this case and how this lawsuit goes, be sure to give me a follow, and if you're on YouTube, be sure to subscribe.